You can't tell me what to do.
And hello, everybody of the stream. Welcome to Snowocalypse Week 9. Eventually, after some hiatus and some delays, but we're here and that's what's important. Joining me as always are my lovely cast. Say hello, everyone.
Hey, folks.
Or wave. Waving
already
also
said
works.
hello to people in the chat. So hello.
Well, you
guys.
know, some people watch us on YouTube.
Hello, people of YouTube.
There we go. Good. So rude. So rude. No
Hey,
consideration.
YouTube. People watching YouTube, skip to 37 minutes.
I wouldn't. We're going to try and start a little quicker this time because we had some slight delays where trains decided to take an hour longer than they advertised because National Rail is a dick. But yes, let's do a whip round and ask everyone how they've been today. I'm going to catch the person who's on the phone off guard. Chip, how are you? There we go. How's your life been since we last did one of these?
My life has been amazing. I don't know if the chat can see it because of the way that the thing's laid out, but I have a Pikachu top!
Made for someone about the size of a Pikachu, but
And
yes.
It's like it's a crop top, Finbar. It's meant to
I
be.
know. I think I'm funny.
Yeah. Yeah, my life's been pretty boring.
Thank
Uni started up again, which means dissertation time, which is fun because I
Have
don't
you found
actually...
a topic?
No, and I don't actually have a lecturer that is, on my course, because I do forensic science, and there is not currently a forensic science lecturer in my entire uni. Like, at all.
Good.
Which is good.
It's a strong.
Yeah.
Strong.
This is independent study to the extreme here, people.
Hmm.
So.
Okay, fair enough. Well, that's your life.
Yeah,
Joe, tell us about Americas.
Yeah, I was in.
You went to the colonies.
Yep. I visited the former colonies. They're as uppity as ever.
Good.
One of my best mates from school was off there getting married. So I went there, be the whole best man, look after the ring, sign the witness form, do the speech. All went pretty well.
Good. Did people laugh at your speech in the good way, not the bad way? Or did
No,
they laugh in the bad way?
There was as you would expect, my speech was a wonderful collection of cliches, puns, and dad jokes, and it had the appropriate rumble of laughter throughout.
Very proud. Very proud. Jamie, tell us your life and news and such.
Yeah, this feels weird because I'm getting deja vu. I'm pretty sure I started this conversation like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard all your news today, but you know.
Yeah.
You got cool news today.
I do have cool news. I went to an interview this morning. I went all the way to London, and I went for an interview and ended up getting interviewed for 4 separate roles by 2 different people in the same interview. But the good news is I've been offered a role in London that pays really well, and they want me to start ASAP. So my next month is going to be hectic with sorting out living arrangements and moving up to London. But yeah, that's my good news, and I'm really sorry if I'm a bit slow. I'm trying not to have a panic attack with everything that's involved.
I feel being on the verge of a panic attack is a good way to roleplay Stein, though.
Maybe a little
That
bit.
seems to be where he constantly hovers.
I'm not entirely sure. I've never had a panic attack, but I keep finding myself short of breath and my heart going weird. So
Let's keep an eye on that during the stream, because I'd hate to lose you.
it's fine. It's fine. I have vices. It's going to be okay. I'm a drama student and roll with this.
Stroke? Question mark.
Phrasing? Right. That was really bad. And finally, Johnny, tell me about your life in the intervening weeks. And I know you've got at least one cool thing to talk about.
Well, I've been mostly very stressed, because 4th years turns out very difficult at university. Don't do them.
He's
Are you
lying.
actually working
He's
at
lying.
uni?
4th year's really easy. I've got a reading week next week.
Fucking reading weeks.
No, I had 3 deadlines for this week. It's a cumulative of about 13 credits worth of stuff was due this week.
I'm not that interested in that. Tell me about Capture the Pub.
Whilst I was also organising the greatest Nerf event that's ever existed, which is where we go to a pub, close it down early, and have a massive shootout. And it went really well. I've got some games in. It was good fun. We had, I think, 65 people or so.
I'm so proud. My little baby. My little baby.
It's great. The new games officers, they're just so good.
it does sound like, this committee does things.
Like, I don't do anything. It's
Sorry
amazing.
for the reminiscing here, chat, but back in our first year, myself and Johnny founded a society based on toy guns at our university, and I have since graduated and left in the hands of my successors, and they seem to be doing a decent job, so it's all good.
Yeah, I'm also playing more role-playing games. I'm now running a full Dungeon World campaign.
Okay.
For my university, and there's going to be a periodic.
Do you have a you? Is there someone who's like, I shapeshift into a hummingbird and fly at them, and then shapeshift into a boulder at close
We have
range?
a druid, but he's not as inventive as me.
Oh, okay. Lame.
But yeah, no. And also, I told him that's what I did, and I wouldn't allow it.
Nice. He's not allowed to be a railgun.
Also, there is going to be periodic updates because soon I should be playing what is a specific kind of role-playing game that's known as a Gary game, after the DM who runs them.
Right.
Basically, he designs homebrew RPG systems to be as offensive as possible.
Oh, God.
So previous games have included playing as the Mujahideen.
Oh, God. I think I've heard about this game, actually.
You know Gary, actually. He was Nalbian.
Yeah, okay, no, I know the guy. But I think I've heard about this game because there was a point where one of them realized that he could get out of the situation by just... was like, wait, did you say this NPC's a woman? And just points at her and just went infidel and didn't have to deal with the issue. It was like, oh my God, you're the worst people.
This game, the setting is we
No.
are playing Syrians.
Oh God, no.
He's
No.
finished.
No. I don't want to know anymore. Just let's not. We fade to black.
Okay.
Here we fade to black.
We're stopping with the Syrian thing. We're stopping
We're
with the
just
Syrian
fading to
thing.
black right there. I'm not hearing this because I don't want to hate you.
Before we move to Chip, and because I'll forget otherwise.
We already went through Chip. She was boring and panicked.
Oh, obviously, I've
It's like a
got
deer in
already.
headlights.
I was going to say, capture the pub. Will we be invited again, like next year, or was it
Yeah.
just one
Yeah, I
year
mean,
post-grad?
we can always go.
Yeah.
Sick.
There you
I think I'm a member. But yes, all right. That's the sort of housekeeping out of the way. Let's get playing because we've only got limited time this evening, due to the fact I have a job and it's already 10 in the evening. So we last. I know all of you have forgotten what happened in the last session, so I'm gonna recap for you because I have stupid man's memory for this shit. Except maybe Johnny. But he'll remember what happened to Lux.
I know everything that happens to me.
So, at the beginning of the last session, you all woke up, having emerged from the crazy psychic vortex that some combination of Stein, Midnight, and random happenstance shoved you all into, and discovered that everyone in the town was dead. There proceeded to be a large argument between the four of you, which mostly involved everyone pointing guns at Stein.
I mean,
Um,
you got the
and-
order wrong there.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
yes.
the
No,
argument.
first it was a large argument, people pointing guns at Stein. One person tried to shoot him, but their gun jammed. He was, meanwhile, threatening to jack himself back into the giant-ass nuclear reactor, and failing. And Midnight was dying of, basically, soul hemorrhage. However, Midnight managed to defuse the very violent and escalating conflict by taking her top off. I believe is still currently wandering around in, just shirtless because she's like that. Although then again, she is now unconscious and strapped to a table because crises that people then diverted off. Two people stuck around to have a coffee and a cigarette.
That's not quite as sexy as I'd have hoped for. Yeah, she's just topless, lying on the floor, unconscious.
No, she's specifically strapped to a table.
Yeah, but it's still not that sexy,
Depends
Really
on
good.
your preferences.
Yeah, we won't go into that.
I'm also
That's for Apocalypse World R-rated, which would require some very specific caveats to be allowed on Twitch. But yes, so the people split up. Tudor and Lux went back upstairs. Tudor went upstairs. Lux went out to have a wander, and the other two stayed around to have a coffee and a cigarette. And then, opening their newly found psychic senses, Lux realized that the place was surrounded by a bunch of kind of semi-devoid of soul things, and also this lady who looked like she was had died of frostbite about 50 years ago, yet was still somehow walking around. And was panicked, ran into the room, told them zombies were coming, ran upstairs to find Tudor, who had just bumped into his old aide, who was dead but being popped around by strange psychic forces. They proceeded to shoot her, and ran to the entrance, only to find, Lux is currently standing next to the McCrae-mobile, panicking. Tudor is on the ramparts of Cecil Road, having a conversation with this Frostbite lady who turned out to be a childhood friend of his he'd forgotten, whose name has totally slipped my memory. And meanwhile, Midnight nearly collapsed, lifting boxes to form a barricade, which Stein capitalized on by attempting to beat the shit out of her so he could strap her to a table and do weird experiments on her. Under the pretense of saving her, claiming he was trying to save her life, Midnight wasn't too fond of this whole idea because she thinks Stein might be crazy and has a very specific memory of him trying to murder her from recent times. Might not be a real memory, but it's there. And yeah, and then we ended with Stein elbow deep in Midnight's soul. So, I'm going to...
It sounds more sexual than it is.
Okay, so in the chat I have just posted the highlighting thread. Go there and give highlights very quickly while I explain. If you are watching this on YouTube, you will find in the comment section, not in the comment section, in the description of this video, you will find a link to a Reddit thread that will give you the opportunity to highlight stats for the next time. So if you want to influence the way these people play, because they will play to mill XP because they're a bunch of filthy power gamers, then you should go there and vote and highlight some stats, because it's very cool. Yes. And also, if you go to those threads, you can also ask me questions about the game, or why I do random things, or what the fuck is happening. I like answering these questions, I find it a lot of fun, I like engaging with that kind of stuff. I don't know what the hell, chat's going crazy, it's all good, they love it, they love it. Okay, I will give this 10 seconds to... Oh, but we'll get to the highlights in just a moment, but before we do that, one last piece of bookkeeping. Stein, you have an unspent advance, according to my sheets. So, what do you want? Jamie, buddy.
What? What's happening?
You've got Stein has an unspent advance.
Yes, I'm just trying to load up the playbook for this. Can someone link me?
Sure. Just find the thing.
Sorry about this. Out of everything that I had to think about for today's session, this kind of fell by the
You
wayside.
managed to make it back, and you were supposed to be there. Like, if things had gone right,
Oh yeah,
you would
we
have
would've
been
started
there
this
like
hours
with
ago.
plenty of time. So it's really not your fault. It's National Rail's fault. You're allowed to be a little frazzled. That is a lot of emojis in the chat.
It's a lot of love.
Okay, so yeah, you have still to go the Savvy Head Playbook. I will put this up on stream so people can look at it while I'm flipping through, so they've got something interesting to look at, other than just our faces. Savvy Head. So, you can get +1 cool, +1 sharp, some new Savvy Head moves. Gigs wouldn't really make sense right now. They just wouldn't make sense. Or a gang, for that matter, because there's just none around to claim. Or just move some other playbooks.
Thing load.
Try to think if there's any particularly good... I mean, you could just get Deep Insights, which gives you +1 weird, if you really want. Which, I mean, you roll weird a lot.
Sod it. Just put +1 on the weird.
Okay.
Insight. Do you want me to add that myself to the moveset?
Yeah, if you just put one in your, if you just tick,
Yeah.
take a move from your playbook, and then add, I think it's called, Spooky Intense. No, it's Deep Insights. Yeah, so I do love the different ways. So there are 3 moves in this game that give you +1 weird up to the max of +3. The Hocus one is called Fucking Whacknut. The Savvy Head one is called Deep Insights, and I forget the Brainer one's just called something even stranger. I just love the different things they mean. Just like, yeah, as a Savvy Head who's gotten more into the psychic stuff, you're very wise. You see beyond the skin of the world. Whereas a Hocus has done it. Now they're just, whoa, just don't touch that with a 10-foot barge pole. Ah, cool.
Wait, hold on a second. My weird's already at 3.
I changed it.
You just
changed
changed
it for you.
That's fine.
So yeah, don't worry about that. Cool. All right, let's look through these polls. Okay, Stein, while you're on the page, you can highlight your weird.
Sick.
So good thing you did that. Lux. People are dicks. Highlight your hot.
Seriously, guys? Oh, I hate you, Hannah.
Midnight. Ooh. Your two favourite stats have been
There's
are
no one to
tied.
talk to here.
Oh, don't worry, that may not hold. Your two favourite stats are tied. So, heads, tails. Tails. You can highlight your hot.
Yeah!
And finally,
Fucking love it.
Shooter has your two favourite stats highlighted. So, heads and tails. I keep missing that coin completely. You can highlight your weird, Tudor.
Whoop.
Whoop, whoop. Okay, we'll do a whip round then. So, who has the most hex with Tudor?
2.
Anyone else? Hex with Tudor?
It's with Tudor.
2.
I think I might actually have this one. Where's my hex? With Tudor. 3! Yes! It's the one person I know well.
Lux, pick a stat for Tudor other than his weird.
Other than his weird.
Also hard.
Hard, definitely. Because I want him to bail me out.
Seems reasonable. Okay. Midnight. Who has the best hex of Midnight?
+1.
Two.
Lux is just... Okay, that's Tudor then. Tudor, pick a stat for Midnight.
Weird.
You may be forced to roll it, to be fair.
Absolute fucking dickhead.
Hey, Jamie's screwing around with your head. You probably will have to roll weird.
I've got -2 weird. You're just hindering me.
But at least you'll get
Still-
experience.
Yeah, you're gonna have to roll that anyway.
Who
regardless of how
knows?
shit
Some
you are.
psychic surgery is about to take place. Maybe you'll have an emotional enlightenment.
Yeah, of course, that's gonna happen.
Who has what hex with Stein?
3.
2.
Okay. Midnight, pick a stat for Stein, other than his weird.
I have -1 with Stein.
Good.
I'm gonna
Bear in
go.
mind that screwing with me right now while I'm inside you isn't. Well, my arm is in your soul. Not a good
Well!
Okay, what have you got highlighted? You're weird.
Yeah.
What's gonna help you right now?
Probably.
He
sharp.
likes having his sharp or his hot highlighted because he actually rolls his weird when he rolls his hot.
Yeah, have your hot highlighted. Because I'm nice. Unlike... fucking-
Technically, Stein is now as good at manipulating people as Midnight is.
Yeah, well, Midnight's kind of unconscious.
But still terrible at seducing people. At seducing people
I
is at
don't know, I
+0.
reckon I could have had Freed anytime I wanted.
Preed was just... Well, I mean, Preed was kind of obsessed with you, but, you know, was being guided by an overwhelming psychic entity.
Which I'm now trying to sort.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that. And finally, who has what hex with Lux?
+3.
What was that? Tudor has 3?
Yeah, 3.
And Midnight, what do you have?
With Lux, +1.
Okay, so, has either of you not picked a stat yet?
I've not picked a stat.
Stein, pick a stat for...
Sick. You are gonna have cool.
That's okay.
It's alright. I
Yeah.
prefer to have hard.
You may well need that.
I
Yeah,
prefer to have
Swear to
hard.
God, if you shoot me today, I'm not gonna be happy.
we'll see. Okay,
I have
one
my
final
two
thing...
worst stats highlighted. Thanks.
Lol. One final thing before we begin. I did not have time to do a post show due to just the way schedules worked out. I mean, I had the time, but I didn't realize the show was going to be today, and I was busy all weekend because I had family in town. So I will do an extra long post show to cover the entire gap between these two and talk about cool things that I have realized about this game, where we have done massive amounts of accidental theming, which is really cool. And I like it when patterns like that emerge in games. So if you want to hear me nerd out about RPG stuff, that will be coming sometime soon. Right. Let's get into this. It's time to duel. So, we begin I think what happens is that we see kind of just the last moment of like so Midnight's eyes flick open again as she's like tied to your kind of. It's just become an operating table. Like before, it was probably just like a kind of workbench, but you realize you just gained memories from the maelstrom of how to work life support systems, probably from Preed, and like strapped her to it. And we just see one of like Midnight's eyes, like her eyes open up, and one of them is like gone completely black, and we just get like projected into your mind. Well, hello, lover boy, in Rachel's voice, and then your like hand is like resting on her head. There's this pulse of like kind of misty white light that like spreads out across the room, and like we slowly see it rise up through the entire complex, all the way up to where so through Lux and like starting there, and we get the image of like Lux's kind of, I believe the panic is I think the emotion that Lux is most feeling.
I think Lux has gone through panic and is now just like kind of determined.
Yeah, resolved.
It's kind of quiet now.
Yeah.
It's like I said, has piled guns.
The Macrane-mobile is just full of guns.
Yeah, like
surrounded, like a runway to the ramp has been cleared of like all the bodies that are just like fallen where they were walking.
I assume that there were some guards here, like right with guns, who had heavy armor.
Yeah, you can probably find some +2 armor.
Cool. I've taken and put on some +2 armor. Lux is like it's literally just like it's all just like cocking every single gun.
That's cool. That's cool. This is some like Furiosa shit right here. I love it.
I'm gonna you know, if it gets to the stage, like I'm gonna start like rolling. I just roll like a d. However many guns there are, I'm just gonna roll that number and see which gun I pick up as I go to shoot.
Good, strong. Cool. Yeah. So we get like the wave travels through Lux, and like she doesn't really see it or particularly. I mean, maybe you just get like, now that your kind of physical senses are slightly attuned to this world, maybe you get like kind of almost like a dog whistle, like that like high pitch like what the thing in your ear, and like we as the audience see like kind of a wave of this sort of like steely grey like mist kind of float off her, and I think it's maybe at this point we notice that like Lux is like physically taller than she usually is, and her posture is like slightly changed. It's like she's just generally like a little bit bigger, and yeah, it's all a little, and like slightly more lean, and generally just a slight snarl I don't think she even notices as she walks around, and her hair's a bit long and that kind of stuff. These physical changes are slowly ramping up. Then it travels upwards through like the ceiling of the top floor of Cecil Road into the shopping centre above, and we see it just reach Tudor, who's having his long distance conversation with his beau or old childhood friend, the Ice Witch, whose name I'm still struggling to remember. Helen was her name.
And Helen was her name.
Oh, you suck.
Exactly what I thought.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, like as this wave passes over you, and like the you kind of like become aware of it, of like in the distance. I think maybe it's like that, like something Stein says, like the last word Stein said in the last episode, or maybe just like you get like a small thing in the back of it. It's almost as if that like the giant bomb thing that Stein detonated went off, but in like 1/1000th of the scale, or even 1/10,000th of the scale. It just maybe tickles at the back of your mind as something you maybe should be paying attention to, but I think you're currently occupied. But we do see the same sort of like colourful mist float off of Tudor, showing like what is Tudor feeling as he's basically being told by his old childhood friend, yo, that thing that gave you all your psychic powers, yeah, it turned me into this to do it, and I'm gonna go kill it. And you're never gonna be king. I mean, she doesn't really say you're never gonna be king, but she does say, like, the thing that wants to make you king is evil, and I'm gonna kill it. With all these guys. And you've still got, like, this array of, like, stock still, like, lightly steaming, huge muscle-bound dudes standing in the snows.
So I'm probably just kind of confused for once, not really sure what to do. A momentary hesitation that's kind of almost out of character. Doubt has creeped in for the first time in years.
Yeah. Fair enough. So yeah, we get like... So there's the same kind of resolve, but like struck through with like maybe just the odd different bit of colour as it like wavers ever so slightly. Yeah. Okay. We'll just do that, and then we'll zoom back into this room. And yeah, I think it's we're standing in like you're standing in the same like the same structured room, but it's like pristine clean. It's as if you're actually in an operating theatre. The like rough wooden sides of the workbench that looks something out of DT Lab is gone, and in its place is like a proper... I think it looks more like a morgue table. Like the idea that midnight is very close to death is being reinforced by the scenery around you. It looks like you're in a morgue. It's stainless steel clean, sterile hospital levels of cleanness. Sorry, and like yeah, midnight. You actually like in here. And Midnight's body's like lying there in front of you. And I think like there's a moment where like your vision like shuffles. Like she's wearing her normal clothes and she's restrained to the table, and then she's wearing like it's just a sheet, and she's like there's no ropes or like giant fucking head restraints in sight, as if you know it's an autopsy, not an operation. And yeah, I think then that image stays, and yeah, Midnight, you kind of come to in this awful room. There's this like sterile white room, kind of defenseless, no weapons, feeling awful. Lying on this like table. And yeah, Stein, you're standing over her. What do you do?
Standing over Midnight.
Yeah, no, she's like it's somewhere between an operation and as if she was there to be operated / autopsied.
Yeah, I mean we've already sort of like begun this. Just
Yeah.
as a reminder,
Now we're in the maelstrom though, where everything's strange.
Yeah, I mean just as a reminder as well. Not so much to add to atmosphere, but Midnight is also gagged at this point as well to prevent.
All the restraints are gone in this version. It's like she's just there, like you've gone to like the inside of her brain again.
Oh, okay.
And I think there's maybe a window, and outside there's just like a black void and snow. And you can just hear this howling noise in the background. And also yeah, Midnight. There's like in that place that wait, was it Midnight who got stabbed by Empire, or was it Stein?
It was Stein. No, it was Stein who got that stabbed by.
Was it Stein who got stabbed? Yeah, sorry, it was
Midnight
Stein,
shot
not
herself.
Midnight. Yes,
So she
Midnight.
hasn't got 7 days to live. I've got
Yes,
7.
no, you've got 7 days to live. Midnight just needs to kind of, recover from this. So yeah, sorry, your little like cold point in your chest like aches still, Stein. Sorry, I had that the wrong way around.
Yes, I thought that might be the case when I was talking to you earlier. But yeah, so we're empty room, just me and Midnight. Okay, is Midnight conscious?
Yeah, Midnight, you're awake. You kind of wake up and you feel awful, but here you're awake. And I think you get this room feels simultaneously the same and yet horribly different from that bedroom you were in, which was like the final corner of your mind and soul when you were in the maelstrom. Like it's the same sort of place, but instead of it being where you feel most comfortable and most at home, it's reflecting your fears, your current condition, something. This place is showing you what some part of you believes is your future. And that is dead on an operating table. Stein's an operating table, for that matter. And then the maelstrom is adding colour. So yeah.
Okay. So the first thing I do is I kneel by Midnight and just try. I don't know. I think the first thing to say is basically, "Can you hear me? Can you speak?"
Both of these things you are physically capable of, Midnight. I'll leave it to you what you say.
Sorry, what did you say, Stein? Completely
Can you
fine
hear
then.
me? Can you speak?
Midnight just kind of goes in a really dreamily voice, like she's just dosed up on morphine. Yes.
Yeah, surely she was.
What, Midnight, I need you to concentrate. What do you remember? What's the last thing you remember?
I remember being with people.
Who do you remember being with?
I can't remember their names, but they were trying to hurt me.
How do you feel now?
I feel lost.
Do you know where Rachel is?
No.
Okay.
Do you know who Rachel is?
Rachel. I know Rachel.
Yeah, I think as you say this, in the wall over to the side, like a large kind of like steel door appears, as if like to kind of like an industrial freezer.
Okay, examining the door.
Yeah.
Is there anything imprinted on it? Is there anything at all noticeable about it, bar it's a door? Any locks? Any inscriptions?
It's got a big ass handle, but it's not locked in any obvious way.
Okay.
Yeah, like, I think putting your hand there, it's just deathly cold. Jim, would you hit mute, please?
What am I doing?
Just hit mute for me, because your microphone static's coming through. Thank you. So yeah, like it's deathly cold to the touch. As to whether it's got anything written on it. Oh, I don't think so. I think it's just blank. Yeah, just this big steel door to like an industrial kind of freezer or something like that is a modern day, like kind of a kitchen freezer that we'd know from some movies or other. And
Like a
just...
walk-in freezer?
Yeah.
Okay. So I turn back to Midnight. Midnight, you need to tell me what you know about Rachel.
I don't know about Rachel. She's a person, but she's not a person. But I think she likes me.
Do you
Also-
like Rachel?
No, she tried to hurt me.
Do you want her gone?
I like that.
Right. I need you to work with me. We're going to get rid of Rachel, okay? And then you're going to come back, and everything's going to be okay.
Okay.
Can you stand?
I think so.
So I put an arm around Midnight and try and help her to her feet.
Yeah, I think she feels... I don't know, she's like... I don't know, she's like... The sheet kind of like... You realise Midnight, and to some extent Stein, she's completely naked under there. And also, as like an arm maybe comes around to wrap it around herself or something, there are no tattoos on Midnight at the moment.
So
They're all... but yes, like, while she's not physically that different, she's like... She kind of walks like she's Bambi on ice. I think it's very... Like, as you help her up, it's very like... Each step is kind of testing, and she's moving pretty... It's pretty difficult. But she just feels frail. Like, maybe isn't particularly like thinner or anything like that, but like yeah, it's the Midnight who's usually got like so much fire and drive is in there, but it's like someone who's getting up after a week-long flu. In this that all happened in the space of like 5 minutes. Yeah, it's okay. You help Midnight up.
Okay.
Jeez.
So at this point, I think it's fairly safe to say I'm dealing with the purest form of whatever's left of Midnight that's separate from Rachel, which is next to nothing.
I ain't telling you shit without rolling some dice.
Well, this is an assumption. This isn't this isn't anything but that. I mean, I was just looking at reading a person. There's no way I could get that information from asking those questions. So.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff you would notice physically because you're in love with / obsessed with Midnight. You know what she's like, how she moves, how she talks.
So
these sorts of things are knowledge you have. So
exactly.
The differences are obvious to you.
Yeah. So I'm not going to bother trying to read anything. That is the assumption that I'm going with. I don't need any kind of reinforcement on that.
Okay.
So yeah. Stone hesitates for a moment because he's not sure if he wants to take Midnight in this shape through the door, but he doesn't really want to leave her in this room either.
Mhm.
So, Midnight, can you stand on your own at all?
Maybe for a little bit, but then I might get tired and fall over and go back to sleep.
On, sorry, chat threw me off there. Okay. On second thoughts, it may be a good idea if you stay here. So Stein basically helps her back down to lean back up against the wall. And yeah, I just tell you that it's going to be okay, and I'll come back before heading towards this door and trying this massive handle.
Okay. Yeah, it's like one of those big like pulls out and like this big mechanical sound comes to the door. You get that sort of like vacuum seal as it peels away. And yeah, the sort of there's like some kind of fog, kind of like just from pure condensation and cold, like rolls out from the gap in the door, and you yeah, it slides open, and inside it is like this room is everything freezing, and inside there's a similar looking like table, but the sheets like entirely across it, and there's a human-ish shape like holding it up.
Okay. Is there any locking mechanism that I can see on the inside of this door?
There's no door handle on the inside.
Right. Okay. It's not going to shut behind me. That's fine.
Yeah. Unless
So
someone
yeah.
shuts it.
Huh?
Not unless someone shuts it.
Yes,
Or,
okay.
you know, the
Okay.
maelstrom.
Yeah. Before going through, I turned to Midnight, and I asked, "Do you want to be whole again?"
I think I'd like that.
I want you to do something while I'm away. I want you to think about the day we first met.
Okay.
Can you do that for me?
I can try.
Try and remember.
Okay.
And I go through the door. I don't shut it behind me. I just
Yeah.
go through.
Okay.
So, can I examine more of what I can see now that I'm in the room?
Yeah, this room is like, you know, like kind of, the sort of the white tiling of like industrial showers, something like that. It's just that walls on the inside, and then just this table in the middle of the room. It's really rather small. There's about enough space for you to walk, kind of like just like that, on either side of this table. It's basically almost like a single bed in just a sterile white room. And yeah, this sheet lying over the top of it.
Right. No one obviously in here.
There is nowhere for anyone to be standing.
Okay.
Unless they're hiding. The only place someone could physically be is under the sheet. It doesn't even reach the floor, so you could have a quick look and see there's no one under the table.
Right.
It's like got propped up legs, like kind of
Any other exits from this room?
No, one way in, one way out.
I pull the door closed behind me.
Okay. Yeah, the same sort of like, and Midnight, you see the kind of the lever like chunk back into place. Yeah, as the door closes. Yeah, so just out of interest, Midnight, how do you react to, you know, Stein disappearing into the freezer?
I'm kind of not really paying attention, just in my own little dream world.
Okay.
Just
What is...
only semi-consciously.
Fair enough, but what
realize.
is Midnight daydreaming of? Tell me.
Well, she's trying to remember as Stein requested
Yeah.
the day that they first met. But
So I think...
her mind keeps wandering away to just random things that made her happy in her past.
Okay, tell us one. We're in the maelstrom. You have to answer my random questions. Tell me one of the things that Midnight sought comfort from in the life before everything went to shit.
Ooh, the life before
God, is this
everything
gonna
went
get
to shit.
Well, we all know where Midnight's happiest. But let's broaden our horizon. A happy moment from Midnight's. Actually, tell me a happy moment from when you and Cecil knew each other. Like something past just maybe when you were. Actually, no, not Cecil. Tell me about the day that you and Tudor became friends. Like, why did that happen? Like, because we set up at the very beginning that you two were drinking buddies or something along those lines. So, how did you guys like meet or get to know each other or what? Why were you the friend?
I'm pretty sure it started off with both of us a little bit drunk in a pub one day, because you know we do that a lot. And yeah, he was just sitting in a corner by himself and just looked really, really sad. And I had a very, very rare, compassionate midnight moment.
He started the party, and then the party kind of went on without him, because that's what happens when you influence people with psychic powers.
Exactly.
You don't need to maintain it. Okay.
So there was this entire like rave going on around him, and he was just sat there looking really sorry for himself.
I just have this image in my head of like, because it's you walking across in your like fucking Matrix leather, and then like the rave scene from Matrix 2 just happening around. It's great. Okay, yeah, cool. Okay, yeah. Okay, so yeah, Stein, you are in the freezer.
Yes.
You've shut the door behind you. It like softly clicks into place, and you hear the thunk.
No way out now. And I just shout, Rachel, come out. It's just you and me now.
Yeah, nothing happens.
Nothing at all.
This sheet just kind of flaps and like in a wind that shouldn't be there. And yeah, there's just this shape of like something underneath it. It's not flat against the table.
I'm just debating actually reading it as an object.
I mean, there's something like underneath said table. So like
underneath the table or underneath the cloth?
Underneath the sheet on top of the table. So like if you have table surface and then you have thing and then you have sheet over the thing concealing the thing. Kind of in the same way that Midnight was underneath the sheet as if she was ready for an autopsy, but the face part was down for her. Whereas here there is something covering the face.
Right. Okay. I'm going to use things speak on it. Or attempt on the actual table with whatever's under the sheet. I'm going to read it as an object.
Yeah.
We agreed that because of his nature and his approach, that I could do that to people. Obviously animate.
Yeah, I think you try to read it, but like the kind of image of it's broken. It's like trying to watch a TV channel that you're only half tuned to. Like you keep getting static lines going across your vision. It's what's under there isn't all of a thing. I think I think you'd need to do something like a little more. I think confront its nature in some way, or like, yeah, it's like this sheet. Actually, no, sorry. Here's what it is. This sheet is in some way like it's like lead over anything radioactive. It blocks things getting in. You get this kind of like weird, white noise, staticky sound from underneath it, but this sheet blocks like a proper reading.
Okay.
And like from the sheet, you get that it is not real. Like this place is composed purely of thought, so there's no real emotion to read from it because it's made from like just. It's basically like a trauma, like a kind of. Here we bury the things we don't want to think about, we don't want to confront, and that's all it is.
If that's the case, then I can actually read what this room is and get a little bit more information on it, can't I?
Yeah, but I think you could basically very easily put your hand on the rest of the wall and, like, as you read the emotion of it, it's the... Actually, no, roll, open your mind to the Psychic Maelstrom to try and understand this place
I
better.
should definitely roll for that.
Yeah. Have a roll. That'll be nice.
Okay.
Let me just make sure that you've... Yep, cool, that's fine. Okay. So, yeah, you're trying to work out... Yeah, this room is, like... It's half... It's like Midnight has partitioned her mind without realizing. And she's shoved this away into a place she doesn't have to deal with it.
Is this room without any hope of escape? Is it actually tight?
The thing is that, like, I think you get this general reading from this entire sort of weird little this weird little morgue. That is that none of it is... It's that like swirling vortex you see outside is stuff that is trying to the rest of her soul, and this is the last little corner. Like it's all been destroyed and shredded, and this place is like she's partitioned the only like room she's got left in half to shut whatever this is away, and it's as perfect as midnight is as perfect as not thinking about it.
Okay.
So you know how good is any person about burying memories they don't want to think about?
That's
how strong it is.
I was just wondering how much I could get from that. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to approach the table and cautiously pull away the sheet from where, if it were a body, the head would most likely be.
Yeah. So you start pulling it back, and you see like the kind of the crown of the head and like this like mess, like black hair, kind of like fanning out. It's that Rachel, similar to Rachel or Midnight, almost interchangeably. They have very similar hair. You see like the first bit of like the incredibly pale skin. You get there and you see it's obviously her face as you get to here, and like you see her eyes like kind of moving around and like looks at you as soon as you pull the sheet to there. And then as you pull it a bit further, where her nose should start, there's just nothing there. There's just like kind of a black foggy line, and then nothing there until you get to like here. And another black foggy line, and then some of her body continuing on. And then, like, yeah, all across, like, bits of, like, massive chunks of her are, like, gone. And all you see is, like, just when you look at the boundary, instead of, like, gore and viscera, there's just these black foggy lines. And, like, there's only about a third of her body lying on this table. Like, the rest of it is missing.
When you say her, is it discernibly Midnight or Rachel?
It's Rachel. You've seen enough of Rachel to know, like, from that bit of her face, maybe? Like, but what is there has Midnight's tattoos. So, I mean, they're similar looking, but I think you've been around Rachel enough to think this is her. But maybe at times that it's almost interchangeable. There's a weird, like, flickering and stuff.
And her eyes are looking at me then, so she is aware.
Yeah, only one. The other one isn't there.
Okay.
It's the same, like, missing chunk of her face. But this one eye is, like, following you around the room. She has, like, no mouth. There's, like, that's the only part of her head is, like, across this line. And then the rest of it is gone until, like, her collarbone. And you've got, like, the left breast and shoulder. And then no arm, and then her hand. And then you've got, like, the forearm, and then nothing there until you get to here. Like, until you get to kind of this line here.
Okay. I put a hand on her forehead and say, I know you don't need a mouth to talk to me.
Yeah,
Start talking.
I think as you make physical contact, it's kind of like, thank God it was so quiet. And then we'll cut up to, we'll go up to Tudor for the moment. As kind of Helen looks at you and goes, I hope you understand. I have to stop them. What they want is wrong. Tudor, buddy.
I think I understand. Can I have a moment to think?
Yeah. Do bear in mind, like, because of the way you've, like, set up this kind of, like, almost viewable portal through space and time, you can do things like read her and all that jazz. If you so wanted to.
Yeah, I was going to... Can I still use augury?
Considering you can give it a try. What are you trying to do, out of interest?
Based on your faith of your crew of one.
Well, he's kind of, like, ingested that power to some respect.
Yeah, I know.
With his weird, like, stigmata crown and,
I want
actually,
to...
I know exactly who I need to show you to, if anyone in the chat has, or anyone watching this has seen D. Grey Man, if you can think of the Noah's, like, stigmata, that is exactly what I am thinking of when I'm talking about this crown thing.
I want to open a window into the maelstrom to see into the past to see if what she happened is true.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so... Sorry, I'll just send you that image and then go back. Okay, so yeah, then give me a word roll, yeah, augury. Hit that augury button. Okay, so you open a window in the psychic maelstrom and see into the memories of people. You also have to pick So I mean, you don't need to persist for a while without your active maintenance because you're going to be maintaining it till you finish watching and then leave.
Oh, do you want me to put that image in chat, by the way?
Yeah, drop it in chat, that'd be cool, if it works. So it reaches deep into the World Psychic Maelstrom, reaches broadly through the World Psychic Maelstrom, stable and contain no bleeding. So I think you needed to reach deep into the Psychic Maelstrom to get at that memory.
Yeah.
I guess the other one is you've got two, so it's stable and contain no bleeding. You aren't going to, like, risk strange memories floating through the vortex, because you don't need to reach broadly. So yeah, that's fine.
Oh god, I lost sound.
Buddy?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so, yeah, you kind of, like, put your hand up. So what does it look like when you, like, look into the past? Have you ever done this before, or is this new to you?
Nope, this is new.
Okay. So, yeah, the crown starts, like, glow a bit again. And we see, like, it's actually, like, there's no window open or anything like that. But if anyone was watching, they would see, like, the reverse of the image on, like, Tudor's now completely clear eyes as it plays out, as if they were almost TV screens. And, yeah, you see... Yeah, you see, I think it's, first of all, you get an image of, like, a Jeep driving through, like, a massive howling snowstorm. And you, it zooms in and you see, like, maybe Helen when she's 14 years old, something around that, right? Like, somewhere in the 12 to 15 range. She's a young girl, sitting on the back seat, and she's, like, she's dressed in big, like, way too big for her kind of survival gear, and they've got, like, a bunch of helmets and, like, survival gear helmet, things like that, like, with oxygen tanks and stuff, lying on the back seat next to her. She's, checking, like, hunting rifles, like, mechanisms and stuff, and applying, like, antifreeze to it. And you see in the front seat, there's two guys talking who are wearing, like, the same sort of suits and also don't have no helmets. Well, the one driving is, I think maybe as soon as you see him, you remember it's Helen's dad. Like, you knew him. The other guy just isn't important to you. I don't think he matters enough to you for you to remember him, but he was like, existed. Yeah, and you're driving along, and I think the dad cracks some joke or something like that, and everyone in the car starts laughing. And then there's a giant ka-chunk, and like the perspective zooms out, and the car flips as it hits like some pothole or something. It smashes like over. And then kind of it's almost like the world fast forwards for a while, and then you see Helen like crawling her way out, like blood dripping from her lip. From like the corner of her mouth, and like one of her legs is like dragging awkwardly behind her. And it kind of fast forwards a bit again, and you kind of like follow her as she's sort of slowly moving away, and she's pulled like the mask over her face. And you see her like collapse into the doorway of some building that's like jutting out. It's actually not a doorway; it's a window of a building that's at like snow level, and she collapses into it. And yeah, we see inside like she like gets up to this she kind of stumbles through the window, and she wanders down this hallway a bit, and this doorway that says Project Excalibur Site 05 with a security pin like opens just as she walks past it, and we see her kind of like look inside and moves aside, and inside there's a chair with like kind of looks almost like an electric chair. It's probably the closest analog I can think of, but attached to the top, instead of it being the electrodes, has the same headset that Stein has, the one that he used for augury. And as you kind of walk over to it, you see her like walk over to it, and she kind of looks around, and you hear like this faintest, like I believe the term is a susurrus, a kind of a whisper that you can't really make out. And she like looks up, and she's like staring at the headset, and you realize at this point like you snapped into her line of vision. And yeah, you see like a tiny little hand extend out to it and pulls at the thing. And as soon as she does, like you can feel with her sensation like it burns in her hand, and like you see her actual like glove kind of strip away, as it like you see it like turn black and then shatters around her hand, and like her skin underneath it is like slowly gaining that frostbiting color. The three parts of like the headset like that kind of go over the top crack off and pull away, and she just pulls away this kind of like steely looking circlet. And yeah, like she screams and she's like thrown backwards, and the world kind of fast forwards again until you're walking in like a different body. It's kind of like lankyish. It's still adapting to having grown a fair amount in the last like year or so. Staggering through the snow, and you feel like this person's panic. You're running through this snowstorm, and you get to like top of a hill, and you see like drag marks of like blood from the bottom of it. And this person runs down the hill, and you kind of round the corner, and you see like nestled in a small little nook, this girl, like still like hand like really tightly clenched around this circlet, her entire arm like down to here now, turned like the same sort of frostbite black, and she looks at you, and I think you, with your weirdly preternatural level of senses, see in her vision like a younger version of yourself. It's like you're just going through like, again, it's that weird awkward phase of these clothes are too big for you, but you look like, again, kind of lanky and stuff like that. It's like teenage boy Tudor, or whoever he was before. And she like holds up her hand, like shaking, and you see like this really weird like thing, like it's fused around her arm. And yeah, I think the same sort of susurrus starts playing, like roaring in your ears, and you reach out and you grab onto this like circlet, and again it starts freezing like along your arm, and both of you start screaming as then like I think we see the sort of assorted colours of the maelstrom like peeling off of the both of you into the thing, and it shine. Describe to me what your crown looked like. Yeah, what did Tudor's crown look like when he was still, before it shattered and became the stigmata around his head?
The one in the picture, dude.
The one in the picture. Okay, let's pull that up. So for anyone who never saw this amazing background thing that Joe sent me, yeah, so the like these colourful lights that's swirling around this just very plain metal band, and then that leaps upwards and forms the kind of like large golden parts on the side. And yeah, from the memory of the maelstrom constructs that crown. And then like the colours, like I think there's a moment where the two of you are like just physically don't have the air in your lungs to scream anymore. And then there's a moment, and then it pulls away from her hand, and we see like just the ends of these two fingers like snaps off on the edge of the crown where they were just too like so brittle. And as they come away, we see this like last like little tendril of these colourful waves snaps from her, and this like frostbite like rushes across the rest of her body in like an instant, and we see her go from like this. Maybe like we zoom in under the mask as the audience, and we see like, as you know, we just see through the big fucking off like huge glass spectacle thing, just this like stuff rushes up to her eyes, and like almost eyes frost over, and all the colour like just leaches out into this kind of like blackish grey frostbitten flesh. Meanwhile, your arm returns to being completely normal. And I think your posture adapts from this like lanky boy who's in no way comfortable with his newfound size, to the man we know as Tudor. And yeah, you just kind of, I think the next thing is you stride out of the maelstrom and don't once look back, with this like chorus of people proclaiming your royalty ringing in your ears. A susurrus that reached a choir level like pitch. And yeah, I think you kind of snap back from that vision as as kind of, I think, as if she was next to you. Helen goes, well, I was hoping you wouldn't have to deal with that. It's not really a pleasant memory for me. That was the day they made us, you and I. She looks out over the big like assembled mass of like, oh, Joe, you good? Cool. Yeah, she looks over the mass of like assembled, like engineered soldiers, and looks back and goes, I intend to wipe them from the face of the earth. They have a place where they are anchored, I intend to destroy it. I couldn't get close before, but, well, Dr. Tessier's little experiments will do nicely now that they're mine. Do apologize to your friend for me. It looks like she'll be joining us relatively soon. Anyway, I'm going to go there now. If you don't get there soon, they'll probably die anyway. You don't need to follow me, Tudor, and I hope you don't. Yeah. And I think she looks like away into the distance and goes, different people are coming. Well, it'll bring some life back to the place. Hopefully, you'll never have to see me like this again. And I think at that point, like, the call, as it were, almost like Skype calling, like snaps back, and you just see her like falls off the side of this like big letter she was standing on, and like is caught by one of the muscle freaks at the bottom, and then they all just start legging it. They move really fast over the snow, and just like running across the snow away from you. Yeah. And then I think you, as like the sun is starting to go down, like you just see cresting a hill, you see headlights, like a big beam of light, and this like huge ass truck mounts like a snow dune and crashes down the other side. And I think as your senses kind of draw back into the real world, you can hear the engine roars of people approaching. And that's where we'll go to break. Oh. Yes, so we will come back very shortly with the next part. Don't go anywhere.